So with all the birds chirping out there, it's springtime, let's make ourselves a bird. So we're going to use a paper plate, scissors, glue, construction paper, and tissue paper. So to start, I would have you help your child by drawing a line down the plate. Doesn't have to be perfect, but giving them a good visual cue for where to cut. So this is a bit of a thicker material, so it might be a little bit trickier to squeeze those scissors. So if you sit behind them, you can help them remember to stabilize with their helper hand and maybe help squeeze with their right. Yeah. So we only need half of it for our bird. So we're going to decorate, I'm going to decorate the kind of convex side of it. But you can always flip it over and do this side as well. So this is the part that's kind of dependent on where your child is in regards to ripping or cutting and where their skills are at. So the easiest to do would be for you to cut some long kind of strips of tissue paper and then work on ripping with this. So if they can't rip tissue paper, you can start with that initial rip for them and then help them place their fingers so that their thumbs are up and then twist. Because a lot of times that pull apart motion is what a lot of kids do, which is a good start, but we want them to get that opposite hand motion. So that's option number one. Then you can go to option number two, which is just ripping construction paper. So it's a thicker material, so it's a little bit harder. Again, you can always initiate the rips. And this one's going to be really hard for them to pull apart, so they kind of have to move those fingers up and twist. Pinch and twist. So that's tearing. Then, if your student is working on just that initial squeeze of the scissors, you can give them a line to focus on. And then help them align the scissors, find the line first, then chomp. So they're not having to move the scissors up a line, they're just having to do one big chomp. So this is just kind of focusing on attending to the line and aligning scissors. And then that squeeze motion. Then, once your child is pretty good at that, you can start making longer and longer lines. So with these lines, your student has to align the scissors and then squeeze and then gradually push those scissors up, 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 which is usually kind of a tricky skill to learn, is that you're kind of going up versus out, or turning their hands. And then this helper hand, which is way down here, you might need to remind them that helper hand and the scissors are kind of friends, so they want to be as close together as possible usually. And so you can have your student cut out strips of paper, and then you can either cut these ones or you can work on tearing, which also helps with finger strength. So there's a variety of options for you. And then you're just going to decorate your bird with a bunch of different colors of paper or tissue paper. And remember that simple things like opening the glue stick are still an important skill for your student to learn. So I know it's automatic for a lot of us to just kind of do it and give it to them, but see if they can do it themselves, and then if they can't, maybe you pull off a little bit. But this way they're getting used to that stabilizing with one hand and pulling, doing something a little bit different with the other. Same with twisting it up. They have to hold with one hand and twist with the other. This could also be a time where you work on numbers and colors, so you can say, put a pink one on and have them pick which one's the pink one. Or you could say, you put on 2 and I put on 2. So you get 1 pink plus 1 pink is 2 pinks. And you put those on. And then I'm going to put on 2, 1 pink, 1 yellow, 1, 2. And just talking through those concepts, even if they can't necessarily answer, is going to be helpful for them to learn that kind of information. You can also play the find the white spot game. Say, okay, I found 1. You find another, to work on the thoroughness and completion of a project. Okay, so that's pretty well covered. Now I'm going to do his eye and his beak. So since we're not really ready to work on tiny cuts, like tiny circles, I would have a pre-made eye or use a googly eye to save some frustration. And same with the beak. Since we aren't used to cutting triangles yet, you might have that pre-done, but if you want to give your child a challenge, feel free. So there's his beak. Okay, so now we're going to make some tail feathers. And this is going to be especially good for those kids working on straight line cutting. Find the line, squeeze, 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 hand up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And if your child is working on tearing, you can work on that too. This is a little bit trickier since it's a long tear, but you can initiate it for them and then see if they can pull the paper all the way down apart. And those make for great tail feathers as well. So I'll cut up a few more colors. Okay, so then you might need to help your child line up the tail feathers. And you might also need to give them a visual cue of where to put the glue. So you can just say, put it on the black mark, or put it on the circle, put it on the cross. Again, so they get used to that language and images. Because we don't want them to put glue all the way down, because we're going to push it under and push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we have a pretty bird. And you can always stop there. I'm going to put mine on a background with a branch. So the branch is going to be more pinching, twisting, and ripping. So this one, again, big sheet of paper. And see if they can go all the way down. You can do kind of a fold for them, which will help get that initial tear down the fold, and see if you can help them move their hands down the paper. If the paper rips like this, the paper rips like that, that's okay. You can use multiple parts of paper to make your branch. It looks even more realistic, probably. Okay, and then I'm going to glue my bird on. And then I'm going to make some clouds. So what you can do is take either tissue paper, white tissue paper, or cotton balls, and practice. You can give your child a large piece and have them help you rip it into small ones, or you can just give them the small pieces and have them crumple it up. And if they can do it with two hands, try and see if they can do it with one hand, using just their fingers. Many times students will try and use their whole palm and hand to do it. So see if you can work on with them using just their fingertips. And then you can glue them on, and you can glue them all over the place, or you could draw a circle and say, let's glue them in the circle. See if they can put glue inside the circle, kind of like coloring inside the lines, and then pushing their tissue paper down. And even just the picking up of the tissue paper is working on pinch. So all great skills. And you can also incorporate other kinds of language like big, little, small. So you can say which cloud is the biggest and see if they can point with one finger to the biggest cloud, or which one is the smallest cloud. So there's lots of opportunities for fine motor work as well as for speech and articulation and receptive work as well. So there is our bird with clouds.